Well, that took care of grinding up all of the small branches on the apple tree. And so many of them were dead branches with a lot of smaller twigs coming out square to it that didn't bend easily. So it was a pretty time-consuming process getting those apple branches ground up. I think that when we get into the live maples, it'll go a lot better because I'll be able to push through larger branches and be able to bend the green twigs as we go. I think this morning I'm going to start out seeing if I can dig up this stump, see how well rooted it is, maybe grab a hatchet and I will get through some of the roots and pull the rest out and cut up what firewood there is in that with the chainsaw, and then leave the stumps for my daughter to burn on the next trip. Here we go. Not much in the way of roots in that. That was pretty easy. We'll get this cleaned up and then get ready to cut down our first maple tree. The previous owner of this property was a sheep rancher, so it was not uncommon to find trees that were wrapped in wire of some sort, probably barbed wire in this case. But I'm going to have to be a little bit cautious about where I make my cuts. Now, if you have a tree that you want to try to get the root system out of as much as possible, you don't want to make the cut near the base of the tree anyway. You want to make it up higher so that you've got a little bit of leverage for being able to pull out the root. So that's what I'll be doing here. Shortly we'll get set up and I'll probably cut these off at waist level or a little bit higher. Okay, all of these trees, since they are right on the edge of a clearing, all have a bit of a lean out into the sun. Well, at least most of them do. This first one probably the worst. And the direction that it is leaning is toward this shed right here. That's an old existing shed. I don't really care all that much about it. It's eventually going to come down. It really doesn't have historic value. Kind of junky, but I'm using it now, and I'd probably prefer to be the one that chooses when it comes down. So anyway, I've got a rope tied off. The rhino is probably, it is to where I guess if it fell that direction, it could hit the rhino with some of the upper branches, but I don't think so. I'm tied off to a big persimmon tree there out near the highway. So let's try to take this down. Well, that is the tree with the greatest amount of lean to it, and that ended up landing just about exactly where I wanted it to. It did start to barber pull just a little bit, but being only 6 inches in diameter, there really wasn't enough room to do a decent plunge cut on it, so I kind of had to live with it and just be cautious. But it hung a little bit in the hackberry tree that is overhanging, but other than that, it fell just about perfectly. So now we'll go ahead and grind up the branches and cut up the firewood. I've been digging on this tree for seems like hours, many hours, digging around the root system, and I'm finding out that there were 3 trees that are actually one tree so far as the root system goes. So it has been a son of a gun to get out. I think I finally got things loosened up enough that there may be a couple of small roots holding it, but I should be able to pull it over and hook up to it with a chain or strap, and I'll move it to another area where I can cut off the firewood and get rid of the stump. I think I'm going to make a separate episode of the entire installation of the septic system, so I'll call it quits for this episode, and thanks for being here, thanks for joining me, and let's see if I can get this thing out of here.